So come on in. So come on in.
Oh gosh, do I need to?
Yeah, turn it down, girl. All right, we're live. Welcome to Me versus Her podcast. Hello, everybody. Yeah, so we might hear a little background noise. Okay, do you still hear an echo?
I can still hear it, but I think it's me.
I don't know what's going on, but we gonna rock it out. Hello, hello. I just turned my volume down. I don't know what's going on.
Man, I don't know either, to be honest.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So we're gonna be talking about all things women. Try to mute your thing, and then when I stop talking, I'm gonna mute myself, and maybe that'll work. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's figure it out. So hey guys, welcome to Me versus Her. I'm your host. Right, thank you, chick. I'm your host Kiana, and we have my lovely co-host Candace. Hey girl, what's up?
Hello.
All right, so I know we have a little bit of echo, so just bear with us tonight. But we're going to be talking about all things women on tonight, and just basically, we all have a story. Women have came so far. I mean, when I was like reading on like the history of women, and it was like it was like crazy to me because when I was reading up on the history of women, I realized like most men, traditional men, and then back in the day before the Civil War, women was only known for cleaning up, only known for, doing house duties, cooking, seeing to the children, taking care of the home. And then during the Civil War, around that time, then they started to like rely on the women to like help with the hospital, like volunteer at the military units when they were fighting. They were over like making sure that the men would eat, also over like ordering the supplies and stuff like that. And I was like, it's crazy how we're always the go-to person, right? We're always the go-to person to make sure everything's okay, to make sure everything's straight, to make sure everybody's, straight. But what about the woman? So today we want to talk about all things women, our struggles, where we are now, what we're facing in society now. And so, Candace, what do you think about that? Just being a woman and just your struggles that you may have experienced.
For me, it was pretty hard to grow up being a woman in my skin. I guess, it's hard to compare because, we were never men. But it's like growing up as a woman was very difficult. And not only that, I'm a woman and I'm Black on top of that, So it's like we got double whammies. And it was pretty tough. It was pretty hard because it's like we always had to keep up with like the culture and keep up with what's in and what's now, and if you're not connected to that, you don't exist. You're a loser. You're a nerd. And so it was always have to like try to be yourself and have your own personality, but then still trying to fit in with everybody else. And you don't really have that mindset of like saying like, oh, well, I'm just going to be me when you're, a teenager in middle school and then, going into high school, and you're trying to fit in. You're trying to get with everybody. You're trying to get with the crew. So it wasn't always like oh, I'm just going to stand out and be me. that wasn't always the case. That wasn't always the case for me. So it was pretty difficult. It was pretty rough. I hit a lot of tough patches growing up, and I guess we'll talk about it later on in the show. But I'm just saying it's pretty difficult for me.
And I agree with you. I know for me as well, when you talk about the color of your skin and just that plays a lot of factors in a lot of things. Just going to the grocery store, if you're not dressed a certain way, you're stereotyped. If you don't act a certain way or speak a certain way, you're stereotyped. And I think that we're still facing those situations. I hate to say that, but we are. I mean, that's the truth, the honest truth. But I know also, just looking at how far we have came just as women as a whole and not based off our skin color, I think so too. We're finding our voice a lot. Now I'm seeing that women are speaking up about a lot of things that a lot of times we were embarrassed to talk about. Like, for example, some of us who have issues, with, conceiving, some of us who may have issues with like a lot of different stuff with our hair, issues with the natural hair, issues. It's crazy how now we're just talking about these things, and there's a lot of things that we have gone through for years, and now we're getting that the courage, right? Now we're getting the courage to speak on it. And so my question to you, Candace, is why do you think that it took us so long to get to this point?
As I said before, I really think it was just the fact that we're finally in a phase or in a time where it's like it's more, be yourself, or what's the new thing, like own your truth. We're more in that stage now, and we're able to open up more when it comes to things like that, because like you said, back then, being natural was not it. That was not the thing.
Nope.
And now it's like, it's accepted, it's embraced, and it's like it's more of like a new norm type thing. Because I know back then, out of my hair, like my mama, first off, growing up, my mom kept my hair in braids because I had so much hair, and it was very thick, very curly, very long. And so she kept it in braids. So, it wouldn't get tangled up, because on top of that, I was tender-headed with long hair, thick, long, curly hair, tender-headed. So she kept it in braids. And then as I became myself, going into like my teenage years, trying to find who I am. I saw a lot of girls who had, their hair straight in, looking really pretty. So I'm like, you know what? I want to wear my hair straight in. And it's like, back then my mom was like, nah, if you do that, it's going to mess your hair texture up and blah, blah, blah. So I only was able to wear it straight in like on certain times, like if ceremonies, or I'm going to get an award or something. And that's pretty much it. But now that I'm, in this age now where it's like, just accept who you are, accept your whole natural being. Like I wear my hair natural all the time, and I rarely get it straightened. I probably get it straightened like twice a year, to be honest. And it's just because I believe we're finally in a notion in a time where it's like, it's okay. It's fine. Be you. It's okay to be you. So I don't know how we got to this notion or got to this point, but I'm glad that we're here, and we're still working on it. It's still rough sometimes, because we still getting a backlash with us being natural in a workforce or professional setting. We still get that backlash from that as well. So it's still taking time to get to where we want it to get to. But I'm glad that it's a door that's been open.
It's fine. Be you. It's okay to be you. So I don't know.
It's still catching up too. I'm gonna end the broadcast on Facebook. Give us a second. So anybody who's on Facebook, can you guys come to Instagram, because we're having trouble.
Here, and we're still working on it. It's still rough sometimes, but we still get the backlash. With
I don't know if
us being natural and
Yeah, we're just gonna do Instagram. I'm gonna have to fix it. Sorry about that. But I totally agree with you. And I can honestly say that I don't know the reason why we're at this point in our lives that we're like owning our own, we're owning who we are. I honestly can say this though too. I remember growing up, we had the hot comb. So, the comb, the little heat comb that goes on a stove that your grandma and them use, and they have your little ears and it's telling you to hold your ear and you're still getting burnt. We had that growing up. And
Yeah.
I love straight hair. I love straight hair. That was one of the things that I loved about, my hair. I love when my grandmother did the hot comb, but it hurt.
Hmm.
Oh my God, it hurt so bad because sometimes she was burning my ears, burning my head. I had a little
Yeah.
stove. You had a lot of stuff going on. But what I realized too is like, when you learn to own everything, you own your hair, you own the color of your skin, you own your body, you own, everything about you. And so I'm loving this season that we're in because it is so important to love you. And I think it needs to be taught. That's why it's taken us so long. For so long, we had to have the fake face. We had to have
Yeah.
the botched lips. The cheekbone have to be a certain way. Like when people get old, they start getting snatched. You have to have the fake bodies. But I think right
Hmm.
now we're learning to love who we are. And I think we're at a pivotal point
Yeah.
because you can't say you want to do all these different things and you don't love who you are. Like, how can I believe you? How can I believe, Candace, you're a life coach, so
Yeah.
how can I believe that you're really true to who you are if everything that's coming out your mouth is fake this, fake butt, fake boobs, fake? And I'm not
Exactly.
hating on any of that. What I'm saying is, when you love yourself, you love everything that God created you to be. You love everything. You were beautifully and wonderfully made. So you don't make excuses about why you need to change your eyes, why you need to laser your eyes. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but what I'm saying is it's crazy how now it's taking all of these years for us to love, who we are. And I think that, like I said, it's something that needs to be taught in the home. As soon as we give birth to these children, we need to be speaking life to our kids and telling them about loving ourselves. Do you agree?
I definitely agree. Because like, well, let's push it back. Don't get me wrong. I would wear my color of my hair. I would change it up because it's just like you said. It's like because I know who I am and I'm so confident in who I am and love who I've came to be that if I want to wear orange one day, I'm gonna wear orange one day. If I want to wear purple, I'm gonna wear that because I'm confident in who I am in my skin. And it's like I'm not wearing this to say, oh, this is what makes me pretty, or this is what brings the boldness out of me. No, I'm wearing it because this is what I want to do because I'm confident in who I am. So
Right.
it's very if the parents were able to instill that into their children at a young age, that would be beneficial for them in the adulthood. And that's something that I can say I had growing up, but not as much. I stay in a household with my brother, and then at a time we had to adopt three of my cousins in, and they stayed with us for like I want to say like 7 years or something. So a lot of the times during my teenage year, that's when they actually came into our household during my teenage years. Um, the love that I wanted to receive from my parents, I didn't necessarily get it because it's like, we all had to make sure we were taking care of each other. And when my parents wasn't in the household, then I was the one, had to be the parent and take care of my siblings. So growing up, I did have that lacking at one point, and it definitely affected me. It affected my self-esteem. It affected the way that I carried myself. It affected the way that I interact with people. It took me years, Kiara, to get to this point, and that's why I chose to be, an identity and purpose life coach, because I've struggled for years with my identity. I struggled for years for not knowing what I was created to do, who I was. I was living through the motions of just like, okay, get up, go to school, go to work, go home. It's like I didn't have no type of purpose with my life. So it's very imperative that we have people in our lives to pour in that love into us and say, you know, hey, I see your worth, I see this, you know, I
Mhm.
see great things for you. You know, just people who can constantly pour into your life and let you know that it's life is worth living. Because I at the time I had people who, you know, would say things to me, but it's like, you don't really know the battle that I'm going through, because at the same time I covered it up. You know, you would never, if you would have looked back on my videos, home videos, my pictures, you would never known that I struggled so bad with my identity, with my self-esteem, because I covered it up. And I feel like in this culture and in this time, well, not this culture this time, but the time back then, it wasn't like it for our Black community, we always have to be, you know, independent and strong Black woman. So when I to show the weakness of saying like, hey, you know, I don't really know what's going on with my life, you know, I'm battling with some things, I'm battling with depression, I'm battling with suicidal thoughts. That's not something you just come out and say in the Black community. And
Yeah.
so I covered it up. I kept it covered. And that's why it's so imperative now that we have people in our lives who will pour into us and then say, hey, it's okay to say that you're not okay. It's okay to get help. You know, it's okay. So I believe it's very important. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
I believe the same thing. And then I also believe in going back to a two-parent home, right? I think for me, I never actually saw my parents live together, right?
Got you.
So I only saw them coming together during the day, maybe at night, and then going to separate homes. You know, my dad went by his mom's house, my mom lived with her mom. And so because my dad was killed when I was 8 years old, I didn't get to experience what a father would really tell his daughter. My dad did
Yeah.
tell me that I was beautiful. He told me all of those things. But because I was only 8 years old, I did not have the knowledge or the understanding of what my dad was saying. So as I
Yeah.
grew up, and as I got older, I looked for men to compliment me. I looked for
Mm-hmm.
men to appreciate the skin that I'm in, to appreciate the hair, to appreciate my shape. Like I look for validation from man, and I'm talking about a man. You know, like I look for that from them. And I know when I was growing up, we were raised in a strict home, so we had to wear dresses, we had to wear skirts, right? The average person who was religious like my family, because we went to church every day, all day. We had to wear skirts because of our beliefs. But the crazy thing about it was the skirts that I would wear was like high to the thighs. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't skirts to the ankles, right? Which I didn't understand. So I'm at school and I want the compliments from guys. I want the guys to say that I'm attractive. I want them to say that I'm cute. Mind you, I was scared of them even touching me. I was scared of them even kissing me because I didn't want that. I wanted to feel love. I wanted to feel my father because I lost my father at an early age. So the thing is, like, I really believe that's something that we do need to be taught. I think also as far as the two-parent home is, I think that makes a situation better for the children. I don't care what anybody say. I believe the father and the mother should be in the home.
Yeah.
Also, I believe that they should set the standard. They should set the example of the values of being loved. Because like I said, I look for love in all the wrong places and then
It's
wind up marrying somebody. The first person who really told me and I believed them that they loved me, I decided to marry him. Like he was obsessed with me, but that's what I wanted. I wanted somebody who was like, he wouldn't leave me because my father left me. Not by choice, but
mm-hmm.
I wanted somebody who wanted me so badly that they wouldn't
Yeah.
let me go. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I totally get it and I totally understand. And I think when you don't love yourself, you are able to allow anyone in your space. You're able to accept anyone, whatever the person tells you. You're agreeing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like they can feed you the BS and you're all for it, and that's how
Yeah.
I was. So I really
Mm-hmm.
believe like self-esteem and all of those issues and some of our struggles, because a lot of us deal with relationship issues and a lot of stuff that we put up with as women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all ties in the feeling of wanting to be loved, wanting to feel wanted, and wanting women to be like a sense of belong, like feeling like they gotta be in this community or they gotta be in a relationship. Cause girl, when I say I dated, I was the date queen. I was never without a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And you can ask any of my people. I was never without a boyfriend. I was the one that always had a boyfriend, just kept going and kept going, like the battery. I'm just saying, like, I believe as women, we're so powerful when we know who we are. We're so powerful when we share our story with other women because we can help. We can help each other. And, I really think that we really have to start talking about this more because a lot of us need to know just how we should navigate life because life is hard. Like it's hard. People are tired working 9 to 5s. People are tired of their businesses. I don't care what people say. Everybody's not happy with life.
Yeah.
A lot of us are pretending and faking it to make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think when we're honest with one another and being very vulnerable and sharing our true self, that's when the healing take place. I love how you shared your story. That's when the healing take place, when you can say, hey, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
This is what I need from you, Candace. I know you're a life coach and this is where I'm at. Like I'm dealing with my identity. And I dealt with identity. I've been with women because I thought at for one time I like women and I thought that was the craziest thing, but I was brainwashed because the man that I really wanted to be with was obsessed with other women. So I thought that if I would connect with a woman, this man would want me. So what I'm saying is all of that stuff plays together. And I think that's why I say it's best that you know who you are.
Yeah.
It really is.
And what people don't understand is the father figure in your life, that's who's supposed to implement identity in you as a child. That's the role of a father when it comes to raising a child up, is to implement identity within the child. And like you said, it's very important that there be like 2-parent households, because a lot of our issues, a lot of our wounds, a lot of our relationship issues that we're going through, it all stems and root back to your parents. And people don't want to believe that. It roots everything back to your parents and how your parents, their parenting style when it comes to you and how they raised you. And a lot of the emotional bondage, emotional wounds that we're dealing with as an adult is because it's something that stemmed from our childhood and how our parents was within our lives. And you can say all day, like, oh, I have perfect parents. You can still have mother and father wounds from perfect parents. It's just, we have to get to the root of things and get to the root of trying to figure out exactly what it is that's causing us to think this way and react in this way. And so it's why when you said that, you had dealt with, the wanting to please men and wanting to, get validation from men. Yeah, that's because your father passed at a young age. So he wasn't able to instill that identity in you. He wasn't able to instill that protection, that provision. And when we don't understand our identity and who we are and what we are called to do, like you said, we don't set boundaries. We don't know boundaries because we don't know who we are. And so anything that flows or anything that, goes with the wind, we're with it, because it's like, we don't know who we are. So let's just try everything and figure out what it is it's like, we can't set those boundaries because we don't know who we are. And one thing about women, we are so powerful beings and our voice is very powerful. And so the enemy, he doesn't want us to figure out identity. He doesn't want us to figure out who we are, who we were created to do, what was created to accomplish, because once we do, his tactics are done. His lies are done, because it's like we have that type of power and voice within our lives. Come on, we give birth. We give life.
Right.
God created us to give life. So it's like, if you look at it physically, we give life. Spiritually, we give life. So the enemy doesn't want us to figure out who we are, what we were created to do. He doesn't want that, because once we figure that out, then he knows that he can't mess with us and tempt us in ways that will get us off of our course and get us off of our journey. So it's I'm glad you said those things, because people don't understand, like, if you're going through like some identity crisis, you know, trying to find out who you are, don't know your purpose, sit with yourself and get to the root of what's really going on. How did you get to that point? When was the point that you realized that you don't even know who you are? When was that point? And then track that to how you grew up, your parenting house. How was your mother to you? How was your father to you? Did you grow up in two-parent household? Did you live with your mom? Did you live with your father? And once you figure those things out, then you'll start understanding the reason why you act the way you act.
Ooh, that was real deep, girl. I felt like we went to counseling just, you know, real quick. But that is the truth, because, you know, women, like you said, is so powerful. We're nurturers, you know, we want to make sure that we check on everybody else. As a woman, we experience motherhood, so we have children, we're trying to take care of our children. And then some of us in a single parent household still has to work, still has to be the provider, still has to come home and still be the mother, like, and doesn't get the break that they need, or, you know, or a chance to pour into their own selves, more or less pour into their children, because they don't have enough time because they're tired.
Exactly.
And I think too, you know, what I will say too, as far as that, is give yourself grace. In this year, I want to tell women, like, you don't have to have everything like calendar set, planned. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself grace to get a chance to catch up. Give yourself grace to, like, if you missed the mark today, that doesn't mean that you don't have to start all over the next day. Like, you can start all over. I honestly can say, just based off of my story, like, I was in school for the longest, college for the longest. Like, I kept, you know, going 1 minute, then not going, because I was having babies. I got married. I got a divorce. So in the betweens of my transitions in my life, I wasn't able to finish school. And then I had to make up in my mind, like, hey, girl, you're going to graduate before you turn 40. I made a decision in my mind, like, guess what? I don't care what other baby come out of you. I don't care if you get married again. Guess what? You're going to have this, you're going to have this, you're going to get your, I can't even think what I'm about to say. You're going to get your degree. That's what I wanted to say, girl. I went blank. You're going to get your degree. And even though it took me that long before I turned 40 to get it, it's the fact that I still did it with everything that went on in my life. So that's the reason why I like to tell people is give yourself grace. You know, women always want to be the boss. They want to always have it together. They want to always be strong. But sometimes you got to lean on God sometimes. You know, like, you got to lean on God and be like, hey, God, I don't know how I'm doing this, because I got three kids over here. I don't know how everybody doing it over there, but I got 3 kids. I got a husband. I got a house that I got to clean. I got a lot of stuff going on. And you got to give yourself grace, because sometimes you are tired. Sometimes you don't have it to do. Sometimes you're like, Lord, not today. You know how the people say, not me. Call your daddy, call your sister, call somebody, but don't call me. Sometimes you're at that point, and I love the way, I just love to see powerful women. I just love to see women in their element, because, girl, we play all the roles, and we play those roles well. If you look at the spade game, some of them are ace of their trade, some of them are kings of their trade, some of them are queens of their trade. All I'm saying is that women get stuff done. But you know what we don't do? We don't appreciate ourselves. We don't celebrate ourselves enough. Girl, one thing I love is my birthday. And I tell anybody, when you on earth and you still here to make another birthday, you hear me? You better celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself being the woman that you are. If you went through anything and you still here, that deserves a celebration. It deserves a hand clap. I'm gonna be quiet, Candace. What you have to say?
I know. No, I agree, because we don't celebrate ourselves. And so one of the things I've been telling my clients, and I'm actually, like, you know, telling myself, embrace the moments. When something happens that's good and you loved it, embrace that. You know, take the time out to celebrate that. And I don't think we do that, because it's to the point where we always feel like we're, like, you know, I don't know what it is about women and having to feel like we have to compete with everybody. Like, it's this spirit of competition is like, no, I can't stop to celebrate this, because if you look at my girl over here, you know, she's still rolling and she's doing all this, and I ain't get there yet. So I need to get there. So, you know, yay, good for this moment, but let me keep going. It's like, no, what are you doing? How God generated and set up and created our journey is completely different from how he did it with somebody else. My journey is completely different from your journey, and that's okay. That's fine. And we have to understand that that's okay and that's fine. And the competition and wanting to outdo someone else, that's the reason why we don't sit here and embrace our moments. And the reason why we feel like we have to outdo in someone else is because we're still trying to find our worth. Once you find that identity, you would then know, like, competition is what's competition? The only competition I have is me. The only person I want to be better than is the person I was yesterday. And that's what we have to understand and get into our notion. Like with women, we're so strong and headstrong about things, and I think that's just how it was, like how we were raised, especially as Black women. That's how we were raised. And so it's like we have to get out of that perspective and that mentality of always needing to be independent, because it's growth, it's anointing, it's love in numbers, not just one person. You know, get in a society, a community, a support system where it's like we all grow together. And I think now we're getting to that motion, that point when it's say, okay, you know, I'm not trying to be better than you, you're not trying to be better than me, we just both trying to grow in whatever aspect that we're in, whatever journey that we're in, we're just both trying to grow. So it's like this competition thing is killing us as women. It's killing us. And like you said, we just have to learn how to embrace those times, embrace those moments, and just celebrate the things that we accomplished. And once you do that and take that time, you then realize how grateful you truly are. You know, you realize the things that you actually did. If you're constantly moving, you're not going to know the impacts that you made, the changes that you did in people's lives, because you're still, you know, trying to headstrong to whatever goal that you're trying to get to. It's like, you gonna get there. You don't get, like, people just trying to get there speedily for it. And I'm like, no, calm down, embrace your moments, take it one day at a time. So
Absolutely. And I love how you said that too, because I think a part of womanhood is evolving. I believe that it's evolving, and it's also, you know, I will also say, you know, maturity. A lot of times, you know, we're not mature enough if we believe that it's a competition.
yeah,
Because as you get older, you see, girl, we both the same similar things. We both had bad relationships. We both, you know, dealt with self-esteem issues. We both did this. Like, why not come together and work together? And then I want to go to like sisterhood. Because ideally, that's what you want. You want a sisterhood. You want women who will rally around you, who would celebrate you, who would support you. So when you say competition, you know, a light bulb went off on me, because my thing is too, I always think about sisterhood, but then at the same time, when I think about competition, I look at, you know, a lot of us say like, oh, we're not competing, or, oh, we're not, you know, we're not about that. But when was the last time you supported somebody else besides yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, when was the last time? And I think it's holding each other accountable. You know, holding each other accountable for our actions, because if I really support you, I'm going to do something to uplift you, to inspire you, to encourage you. I'm going to get on your page. I'm going to post to your page. I'm going to share your story. And I think, you know what? I think society has us like convinced, right? When it comes to celebrities, I think what is so crazy, and I'm not hating on the celebrities at all, people, guys, give me a second to say what I have to say. But anywho, what I'm saying is, with celebrities, we would support a celebrity, like, real quick. I don't care what they do. They can do a video. They can come up with a skincare line. they can come up with a show. We'll support them. And the show probably sucks, but because they're a celebrity, we'll support them. But then when it comes to your family, when it comes to your friend, and they do something, it's like, oh, there she go again. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's competition. Sometimes I think it's just purely hate because of the fact
Yeah.
that they're doing something that you probably want to do. But
Yeah.
instead of being that way, why not come together? Like you said, why not come together? And so what I want to talk about now is women in sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
how it all correlates and how it all works together. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
mention Women Exhorting Women because I am the founder of Women Exhorting Women. Candace is one of the members as well of Women Exhorting Women. And what I love about the organization, we don't get to do a lot of stuff all of the time, but when we do come together as a team, we're able to have a lot of success stories, helping the community, helping, each other in our own personal lives and personal stories. And I feel like if people really want to see community, then it should be a reflection of who you are. I should be able to say, like, oh, Candace is really a nice person. She'll go above and beyond. Oh, she's just a person, a servant. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the qualities I should be able to automatically see just by looking at you, your demeanor. You get what I'm saying? But I think, are we really showing people? And that's one of the things God had challenged me this month on is, are you really showing people your fruit? Are you really showing people who you really are? Are you really showing people that you love God? Are you really showing people the type of person that you really are, that you're caring? That doesn't mean that you're going to attract the wrong people. I mean, God will give you discernment as well. But who
Yeah.
are you attracting? Who are you portraying? If you want community, how do I see that you're a part of community? How do I see that you're displaying community? And I think that when we start being who we say we are, it will start shining through us. They saw that
Yeah.
Jesus was the Messiah. They saw the light beaming, right? So they should be able to see a light on us that's beaming as well. What are your thoughts, Candace, on that?
Yeah. If you don't display and walk in who you say that you are, who you called to be, you're not going to ever be with the people that you need to be. And you're not going to ever be able to help that group of people that you need to help, because you're not walking and you're in who you say that you are. And so community, being in a community, being with people who are like-minded, as well as know things, like know a little bit more stuff than you do, that's where you need to be. And until women's able to actually tear down that, that pride, tear down that thing of like, oh, you can't tell me what to do type mentality. Once we're able to get that torn down and actually sit amongst people who are within your same cohort, within your same group, then we're able to grow and be strengthened from that growth. And we aren't able to do that if we always thinking like, oh, well, she can't be better than me. And it's no, like, I don't mind sitting in a room with a group of women who is doing well off, who's doing way better than me, because that's my opportunity to learn from them, to sit under them, to, just soak in the information I need to soak in to be a better me. And there's women out here that's like, no, they know more than me, so they're gonna act like they're better than me and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, sometimes you just have to humble yourself and get into those groups. No, I'm not telling you get with a bunch of women who's bougie and who tears down the weak ones. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you, get in this a group that they know well off, have the information that you need, and they're willing to give it to you. They're willing to work with you. They're willing to help you take the steps that you need to take to get to where you need to get to. It's very important, because God did not create us to be lonely. He did not create us to do things on our own. He did not create us to sit here and walk through this journey of life by ourselves. He created us to be beings to communicate with each other. And until we understand that and realize that, then there's not going to be no growth. There's not going to be no strength. There's not going to be no part where it's like I'm in the place I need to be at. So until then, once you get out that mentality, I call it the crabs in the barrel mentality. Once you get out of that, then you'll be fine. It's just the fact that, can you humble yourself? Can you humble yourself to be in a group and grow with this group, with this community? Can you do that?
That's good. And that's one of the things I believe, God told me right before the pandemic happened. He told me about collaboration, right? And he told me about divine connections. And I know a lot of people like to use divine connections, but he told me that in order for you to get to your destiny, in order for you to get to where he wants to take us, I had to get out of my comfort zone, right? And a lot of us, our comfort zone is our safe place. And we don't like to be around a lot of people. We don't want people to see our weak points. We want to seem like we're this strong person all of the time. But one thing that God had shown me too was, when you collaborate, that person is also shining a light on you as well. She's covering your weakness. Right? She's covering your weakness because she may be the person is the strongest in your weakness. And so one of the things he was dealing with me was allow somebody else to carry the load as well with you. Because the places that I'm taking you, you need more people than just you on your team. You need access to other rooms than just your room. Yeah. Because you may have a room of 500 people and Candace may have a room of 1,000 people. At the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're being able to receive and be able to, pour into someone else. And I think sometimes we're selfish because I may be selfish with the knowledge that I have, and I may have the knowledge and the wisdom to help Candace push you into your destiny. And I think that's one of the things that God is trying to break the barrier on that, because if I'm truly about my sister and I'm really my sister's keeper, then I'm going to make sure that if I'm going into a room, I'm going to take Candace with me. I'm going to be like, Candace is a life coach too. I'm a life coach as well. So we're going to go in this room together, or we're going to enter this community together, because guess what? If one go up, the other one goes up too. I look at the world system and I look at people in the world and how they portray things. I love how Super Scent, B. Judy, and some other people rally around the people like in New Orleans who are celebrities. They rally around one another. They have everybody together. They all have multi-million, businesses. My point is, if the world can put 2 and 3 and 4 heads together, why can't us as Christians come together? Because we only serving one God. So what is the purpose of us having all these different churches? What is the purpose of us having all these different functions? Why not come together as one body? Yeah, because that's how we're gonna be in heaven. We're gonna be all together as one. So that's the point that I be like, God, I get it, God. Like, why are you telling me this? What do you want me to do with this? You get what I'm saying? Because we're so divided. And when we spread the gospel, we have to spread the good news together. And that's what he's trying to get us to see, like, you're better together. You're better together. And, and that's one of the things we have to realize as women. We're better together. We've been beaten. We've been abused. We've been talked about, lied to. We have treated ourselves badly. We have treated other women badly. But what if we all come together as one team? You a brand genius. I'm a brand genius. You influencer. I'm an influencer. You a woman of God. I'm a woman of God. How about we all build the kingdom together? How about we all come together and do something big together? But we're so prideful, as you said. We're so prideful because I may have the name, I may have the followers, but I'm not trying to give my followers to Candace because I feel like Candace is gonna take my followers and run with it. But if we're all a part of one body, who cares who run? Because honestly, we should all be preaching the same message of the kingdom. God speaks the same language. I don't understand how you could be saying one thing and I'm saying something else, when if we both hearing from God, it should be the same thing. So that's why I would say, as women, we all have similar stories. Why not share our stories together? Why not commune with one another? Why not lift each other up? Because it takes a lot of work to tear another person down. Why
Yeah.
would you want to do that? Where do you get yourself? Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you
I'm putting it
benefit
on
off?
you now, girl.
There's nothing that you can benefit off of that. And
Uh-uh.
I've had my shares of, catty arguments and, he say, she say stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, what are we benefiting off of this? There's nothing that we're benefiting off of. There's nothing, nobody grew from this conversation. There's nothing changed from this conversation. And it's like you said, we got to get rid of this prideful spirit. And I feel like, I don't know why it's so hard when it comes to the kingdom. Like you said, the world, they can put two together and boom, they got something. But for the kingdom, it takes some pulling of teeth. And I feel like it's just because everyone is trying to debate who can hear God the best. It's like,
Right.
we all can hear him. And what people understand is like he talks to us all in different ways. What he's given you, he probably gave you, the front end of what he wants to do. I probably
There
got the
you go.
back end of what he wants to do. Somebody else got the middle. And if we all come together, we got the whole picture. We got the whole blueprint. But it's like, we won't never have the whole blueprint if we don't come together. I'm running around with the back end, not knowing how the front end functions. And if we don't have it all together as a puzzle, as together as a blueprint, then we're not going to never see the complete picture of what it is that God wants to do with us. And so that's why it's so important for us to have community. It's so important for us to hold each other accountable, like I said, like what God gave me is probably what can open up doors for what he gave you. And if you're not there to hold me accountable, then we both just sitting in here, sinking, blind, lost, like the children of Israel lost in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. And not knowing that the goal, the promised land is right there, miles away. And we sitting here walking around in circles with the promised land miles away because we don't have the mentality to put our pride aside and say, hey, this is what the Lord gave me. What is he saying to you? Oh, he's saying that. Okay, that makes sense because that goes with what he told me. Okay, so let's get together and let's get this done. It's just,
I'm with you.
we have to get out that mentality.
Yeah, and I think that it starts with, and I really want to say this too, and I think that it starts with us, right? Because a lot of us are looking at the church, and the church is us.
Yeah.
So we can't expect the pastor to do it because the pastor is still trying to hold together the body. But if it starts with us to bring light to enlighten people, like, you know what? We're not getting anywhere if you're going to host something and I'm going to host something. Like, how can we come together as a community? Maybe start with the state, maybe start with the city. We're like-minded. We love God. The main purpose is to win souls. Let's come together. And I think it starts from there. And it also, you know what? I look at the Asian community as well. When it comes to businesses, they pull together as a whole. They all live in the same house. They all sacrifice and work this business until it gets to a certain, point. I think why we all can't come together as the kingdom. I don't care if you white, black, purple, pink, orange, whatever color you are. Why can't we come together as the kingdom? Because I really feel like we're living in the last days. I hate to say it, but we are. And I think that God is trying to take us to a point that we're only focused on one body. You know what I'm saying? Not all these different churches, not all these different denominations coming together, as a community. And I think it's really needed. Do you know how the television plays, different crazy stuff every day, all day? And I know that we have some Christian stations, but we're not on the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have the main show. We don't have, You
Yeah.
don't see God all the time on TV and maybe on YouTube and maybe on Sunday program. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how
Yeah.
we sit back, and that's just like us as women. We allow men to rule so much and have us being, quiet for so long that now it's
Yeah.
like the relationships are broken. Everybody don't know
Yeah.
their role that they're supposed to play. And I think God is
Mm-hmm.
trying to bring us back to the basics of family, the basics of, coming together, the basics of love, the basics of treating someone the way that you want to be treated. I think once we get to that concept and learning how to love again, learning about, praying for everybody, just not your household, like pray for
Yeah.
the other worlds, you like pray for other countries, because we're
Yeah.
selfish by nature.
Yeah.
Everybody's heart is selfish by nature. God talks about our heart constantly. And so we have to work together. We really do have to work together. That's what I'm going to say. We really have to work together. And I want to get to this part about women. So I know we talked about our struggles. We talked about self-esteem issues. We talked about history. And I want it to be funny. So what are some things that you believe a woman created? What do you think some things that we created? And you could just say whatever, it doesn't really matter. But what do you think we
Definitely some
created?
hair products. Definitely the hair products. I don't know. I'm pretty sure a woman created that hot comb. I am pretty sure.
Girl. So
A
the
lot of
woman
hair
created
products
like
most
the
definitely.
dish, right. And I would say she created the dishwasher, the electric refrigerator. I some created something, the iron board. I was like, see, she wanted to work smarter, not harder. Like some of the things that women created, I was like, you
That's what
know
it
what?
was.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to make our lives simple,
Yeah.
And I was looking at that and I was
Yeah.
laughing. I was like, you know what? Women is smart because we really be trying to maximize our time because we have a lot of stuff to do. And I was
Exactly.
like, oh my God.
Exactly.
Also, it says that a woman created car heaters, the home security system, like a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even think that we created. You would have thought, a
Yeah.
man did. And that's why I say we don't give people credit where credit is due. We
Yeah.
don't show people credit. We don't respect people for their wisdom, for their knowledge. We don't respect people's story. Like, oh my God, you went through that, Candace. Like, oh my God, that story really touched my heart. Like a simple saying, thank you for sharing the story. It goes a long way because a lot of times we're like, girl, I don't like your hair. Girl, why are you looking like that? Or we're laughing at people or talking about people behind their backs. And I think that just as a community, like we talked before, we really need to start pushing each other. I think the more we push, the better this world will be, the more we care for other people. Like today, I was at the park with my children, and I took my youngest to the park, and they were playing. Whereas I was taking them to the park and I was allowing them play, another young lady came up with her kids and like left her kids around the playground and started walking around the park. And I'm traditional. I'm more of I got to be around my kids than at the playground, because I know a lot of crazy stuff going. And she's
Yeah.
different, she left her kids and went around the park. Now, in my head, I left her kids, like, I don't know that's crazy, like in my head, I'm saying that. But the Holy Spirit told me to sit there, like sit and watch her children. She don't know watching the kids, but the kids were small, like under 5 years old. Could have been like, oh girl, that's crazy. I don't know why, but the Holy Spirit told me to just be quiet and sit butt down and, make sure the kids don't wander off because one of them did wander off. My point is, I could have been traditional and be like, oh my God, that don't make no sense. You're young. That don't make no sense. You just let kids do whatever. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, God told me to give her grace because we need grace. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk about, the grace
Yeah.
that we, just as women, we got on. How about some of us, like you said, who know more than the next woman or have been through something or experience? How about you share your wisdom? How about you share your wisdom without offending? You know what I'm saying? Without offending someone. What do you think about that, Candace?
Hold on, Tia, because you was breaking up. So, what was your question?
I was saying, how do we share our wisdom with someone without offending them as a woman?
That's a very Tough question.
And that's going to be our
Because
last question.
when it comes to women, it's like they could get offended very easily, and I know
Oh, yeah.
because I am a woman. So, how do you share the wisdom without offending them? But for me, when I'm in those situations, I try to tell them the best way that I know how. And at the end, I let them know, like, hey, this is not me trying to tell you what to do with your life, not trying to dictate how you do things. It's just me telling you, through my experiences and what I've learned. And so this is my wisdom that I'm giving to you through the experiences of what I've learned and what helped me. So when I was in this situation, I always make sure that I pinpoint and bring out the things that they brought to me, the things that they're dealing with. I always make sure I put it back on them and say, hey, you've been through this, you've been through that, and I've been through those too. And this is what I've done. And, and kind of soften it that way. So when it comes to like giving them the wisdom without offending them, I necessarily bring it in as far as like letting them know that I understand them. I understand what they're going through. I understand their situation, and it's okay that you're at a moment now where it's like you're searching out for wisdom, you're searching out for knowledge. And I always have a disclaimer, like, look, what I might say might hurt your feelings. What I might say, you might not want to hear it, but this is it. This is what it is. And sometimes we need that tough talk. We need that toughness. Sometimes we're not going to like it at the moment. We might not receive it at the moment, but it was said, you heard it, and days come past, and you like, dang, she was right. But at the moment, you might not receive that. But sometimes we need it. Sometimes we need that tough love, that tough talk to snap us out of whatever that we're in. And I've had a lot of those. A lot of times people have been, poured into me and said wisdom, and I'm like, I'm not trying to receive it because I know and and this is how I'm gonna do it. And then 2 days later, I'm like, dang, they was right. So, yeah, it's just, I think it's just how you deliver that wisdom to them. If you're delivering it in a way that you're like, oh, mighty, you're downplaying them.
Oh, I know more.
Nah, of course it's going to offend them. Yeah. I think I believe if you get to their level, get to their eye level, understand exactly where they're coming from, understand their heart, then the wisdom that you pour out, it still might offend them, but at the same time, they're able to receive it and, apply it to whatever areas they need to apply it to.
I agree. You answered the question wonderfully. I hope you guys were blessed and inspired by our conversation about all things women. We talked about everything. We also talked about God. We put all of that stuff in community and sisterhood and life coach. And it was a pleasure, Candace, talking to you tonight about all things women.
Yeah.
We'll be back, guys. And thanks for tuning in. Good night, everybody.